Good morning. Welcome to our Monday morning meditation. Good to be here with you again after um, a little holiday break last Monday. Hope you are staying cool where you are and enjoying summertime, such as it is. So we are continuing our practice, our weekly practice. Hopefully you have a daily practice, at least for 5 or 10 minutes every day to tap into your mind and what it's up to, and and your breath. And we're going to focus on our breath today. I was just feeling the value of our breathing, and it's such what our breath is doing in any given moment is such a beautiful temperature to take of where our mind and nervous system are. When we are stressed or anxious, we can either be holding our breath, which happens more often than we realize, or we can be hyperventilating or breathing so shallowly that our mind body system isn't getting not just the oxygen it needs, but also the carbon dioxide that it needs to counterbalance the oxygen levels. There has to be the right balance in there, not just all oxygen all the time. There's lots of things in the air besides oxygen. We call it oxygen because that's what it primarily is, but there's lots of things in there. And carbon dioxide is one of the give and take that our mind body system needs to balance and to have that right amount of oxygen in our bloodstream, our muscles, our nervous system, our brains. So our breath is important physically. It's important emotionally too, because again, it's that temperature taking feature of our self, our whole being, right? So when we watch our breath during the week, we can tap into, like, where am I at right now? Oh, I'm feeling nice and calm, but I notice my breath is kind of shallow. So let me just breathe a little bit more deeply and feel that deeper groundedness, that deeper relaxation, and and just feel that in your body, that it relaxes more, that you have more mental clarity as well. So, another aspect to that is that our mental state, what's happening in our mind, we can be more aware of that because of our breath as well. And so, if we are, kind of crunching on something, chewing, if the mind is chewing on something, there's a lot in politics right now that the mind could be chewing on, and so forth. And we can notice when that's happening with our breath, or we have a worry that we're chewing on, or we have a just any kind of situation that is we're worried about. We have lots of worry in those situations. Our breath is going to reflect that. So tuning into the breath helps us also tune into the mind, and working with the breath helps to just kind of quiet and calm down that mind so that we can work through whatever it is that we need to work through. And there's always a solution. There's always a solution. It may not be the solution that we want, but there's always a solution to get us to the other side of whatever the challenge is. Time doesn't heal everything, but time does help us walk through a situation if there's nothing for us to do about it. If everything is out of our control, time will, as we breathe through it, time will get us to the other side of that. So there's just so much value in paying attention to our breath and what it's doing in our meditation time. We use it to calm, but in our everyday lives, we use that to just help manage what's happening inside in our minds, our emotions, our bodies. And it's a huge, amazing built-in tool that we have. So we're going to work with our breath today for our meditation time, as we so often do, and nearly always. And just want to just focus on that breath right now. Let's start off with our deep breaths. That just helps kind of flush everything out and prepare us for a time where we are still and focused within. So we just take a deep breath, breathing in, starting from the belly, breathing in all the way through the chest and the throat, and feeling that air in your nose, and letting it out. Just feeling everything relax as you let that breath out. And breathing in again, all the way up the torso into the neck and the nose. And letting that out. And let's just do that one more time. Breathing in through the belly, all the way, filling the chest and the throat and the nose. And letting it out. And let yourself be comfortable in your chair if you're not already, so that you can really forget about your body. Just let it be limp and relaxed in the space you're sitting in. And don't worry if it can't relax completely. That's not a problem. Just notice where it isn't able to relax. Just notice that. We're going to focus on our breath, breathing in through the belly, which means using your diaphragm to pull the air in, which expands the belly. That's why we call it belly breath. And then breathing out, just letting the air out and feeling the belly relax, the diaphragm relaxes. So really there's only one movement of effort, and that's the in-breath. And the out-breath, we just let go. Just let it go. You don't have to push it out, just let it go. And breathe in. It doesn't have to be a deep breath. And breathe out. Just let it go. And I invite you to find your own perfect amount of in-breath, where you're not breathing in a full breath. You don't need to be breathing in full breaths all the time. But we just don't want shallow breath. So there's that sweet spot in the middle between breathing in deeply and not breathing in enough. And that's our natural breath for our lung capacity, for our physical needs. And then we just let that breath go. And you can play with this a little bit. If that feels like too much, you can slow your breath down. Our breath is such a wonderful tool. It works when we're not looking, and we can work with it when we are. We can use our awareness, our attention to the breath to help relax the mind and the body. Now let your attention rest in that place where the air feels like it's moving into your body. That diaphragm, we call it the solar plexus area. It feels like the hub of the actual stomach, which is a little bit higher than the gut. Just in that center. We're just going to watch the breath here. Keep bringing your attention back to the breath. This helps us to train the mind to focus and to not get involved in the mind stories that happen. Just notice that calm, relaxed breath. It's okay to let everything else go. It will be there when we're done. Just be very present with the movement of the belly as you breathe. You don't have to manage the breath at this point. Just let it do its thing. We're just letting our mind and body have a vacation from the busyness of day-to-day activity, the busyness of the mind that can be challenging to quiet sometimes. So we get to practice and fully immerse ourselves in simple breath. And sometimes when we get real quiet and real still and just relax into the movement of that calm, simple breath, we can feel the possibility of ease of life. Not because circumstances around us are perfect, but because we know there's a calmer, supported way to move through life. That there's more to life than things turning out exactly the way we want them all the time. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. But then there's always the next thing. So there's got to be something more than outer results. And if you have time today to just sit with that breath and just keep watching, keep allowing that simplicity, I invite you to do so. If you need to go about your day, I invite you to take a couple of deep breaths to help your mind body system shift into your action mode. But bring this breath with you. Bring your awareness, your attention on your breath with you. And check in with it many times throughout the day. And if something feels stressful, just take a couple of minutes to be with your breath and with your breath alone, not with your breath and trying to solve the problem, but just let the problem go for a couple of minutes. Focus on your breath and then go back to it when you feel so moved. And just see how that shifts and helps you navigate through situations more calmly, more easily. And whether you're sitting longer in this meditation time today or going about your day, thank you for joining me. And I'm so glad to be back with you. And I look forward to seeing you next week and meditating with you again. I'm sure we'll be focusing on our breath one more time and again and again. Have a wonderful week. Bye bye.